Okay, listen. This is probably gonna be the easiest video I've ever made, and I'd like to thank X for, giving me what I said, from before. In a previous video, I mentioned how easy it was to discuss his music, and he's made it easy for me again to discuss my issues and the point of this music video here today. So, I want to get my jokes in, that's going to be in here, but X has just come out with his new music video called Look At Me. Now, Look At Me is the song that kind of popularized X, okay? It's not his best song in my opinion. I think he's made more memorable music, but in my opinion, I think this is the song that attracted most people towards him. Now, Look At Me was released December 31st, 2015 on SoundCloud. Also, Riot was also released May 1st, 2015 on SoundCloud, another song that makes an appearance in this music video. I really would love to start a meme about the song Riot, because this is the one song that X fans go to. Like, this is their classic line. Anytime anyone feels like X is just like a hype beast rapper, all his fans immediately say, dude, go listen to Riot, there's lyrical spiritual miracles over there. So before I click on this music video, the first thing I notice is that Look At Me is a song that's around 2 minutes long, and then I see the video length and it's around 5 minutes, so immediately I'm triggered. First off, let me discuss the message of this music video before I get into my issues with it and before I get into the things that I would like to commend X on for wanting to discuss issues surrounding severe topics like this. So in the very beginning of the music video, I'm looking at it, I'm like, this is cool, this is the setting that I would imagine, a song like this would be played in. This is the demographic I believe it would cater to. Even I like the song Look At Me, but I am expecting a switch up at some point. I mean, the video isn't this long for no reason. He walks up to the teacher, he smacks him in the face with a questionable object. It's a little funny, it's a little tongue-in-cheek. I'm like, alright, this is a little immature, but it's funny, it's cool, it's innocent in a way. Then we get a bunch of people hung up in the trees, and I'm just like, what you doing? This is where things start to get a little bit funky in the music video. X starts talking, still hung up from the tree. And I'm not trying to make light of this, but the first thing I saw was like Edgemaster 3000. Like, the first thing he reminded me of when I saw this shot of him was Frieza in the Revival of F movie when he was hung up in that little cocoon and he was surrounded by a bunch of babies annoying him. I don't know, it was just funny to me when I first saw it, I'm sorry. As I'm continuing this music video, I noticed that the song Riot is playing, and I'm like, did you really choose this to be the song to cover the imagery that you're displaying in this music video? Like, do you think you did enough justice to the subject of inequality in the song Riot that you feel like it fits over this imagery of Philando, Emmett Till, and the other people that you covered in here, even Rodney King? You really feel like this kind of song does these images justice? We're going through the music video and we see this guy holding the hands of these two children. One is a black kid dressed in white clothing, the other is a white kid dressed in black clothing. It's not that hard to understand where this is going. I feel like the aesthetic can't really be appreciated that much because the lyrical content isn't strong enough to cover what he wants to convey with this music video. While when I heard Riot, months and months ago, I did agree that it was a pretty good song, I don't feel like it's the one that should represent, the fight against inequality. But I've rambled for a little bit too much. The point of this music video is pretty much to say, in the beginning, we have X who's going up to the teacher, smacking him in the face, saying that basically you aren't teaching these kids anything of value, so let me do it. Let me take over your job and give these kids something that actually matters. Again, this is not a hard concept to understand. You're probably wondering why on earth a song like Look At Me is even incorporated into a video that has this kind of subject behind it. First of all, X is a master of bait, okay? He's a master. He pretty much tricked a bunch of people into thinking that this was a full video on Look At Me when it was really a deeper message behind it. I understand that. The song isn't that deep though. By portraying himself as this guy that has no sense of morality and that is basically an animal to the teacher, when he goes up to him, he displays exactly what the teacher already thought of him. So it's almost as if X is giving this dude exactly what he wants, thereby feeding into the bias that's been placed on him by the supremacists that he hates so much and that he describes in this music video. Again, purposefully done, not a problem with it. Then the next piece of this video is essentially about the revenge aspect. This is essentially the part where people are really tired of all the discrimination and the injustice and the inequality, and they're ready to take a stand against it. They want to do something, so they get revenge. They're blowing up cars or they're destroying windows. I mean, you know, the budget isn't that high for the music video, I'm sure, so they can't destroy everything, but this is what I'm getting from the music video. Like, this is what he's painting the picture of, okay? People that are tired of what's going on and they want to stand against it. The kids are pretty much shown in this music video to display a sense of objectivity, right? To say that kids aren't really the ones that are putting this this ideology out there. X is also on the sideline because he's looking from the outside in and seeing that this isn't still the way to handle the situation. I'm gonna give my opinion on what he did to the kid in a little bit, but the point of why he did what he did to the kid in his defense is to show the very small reaction out of the crowd, because it looked like he did this in front of a group of people, like in front of a large audience. And as this kid is getting hung up, we see a very quiet response from the audience. Nobody's saying anything. There's no uproar. There's no talks of injustice. They're just sitting there watching it. And I'm pretty sure this is to depict, you know, how the other side looks at the other side. How they don't really have an issue with something happening to one of theirs as long as it's not happening to one of theirs. Again, I'm speaking kind of metaphorically because that's where I feel like the video is placed. That is essentially the message of this video, right? Now let me talk about my issues with this video, because I had to get the point of the video out of the way for people that feel like, oh man, because you're critiquing it, that must mean you didn't really understand it. No, I get it. I completely understand it. It's not a rocket science. However, I don't need a kid to be hung up to tell me that inequality is a bad thing. If you believe so little in your words, if you don't think that your words have enough conviction to display the point that you're trying to get across, then hanging up a kid isn't gonna do it either. From the very beginning of this music video, if you're gonna say that you are essentially the teacher and that you feel like you need to explain something to people, why are you explaining something to people that they already know? He is the same individual that said in the past that he doesn't like when people little bro him, right? Essentially saying that because people are older than me, you shouldn't feel like you're smarter than me or know more than me. And I'm assuming this video was done for his fan base. This whole video is you basically little broing your audience as if they don't have enough basic knowledge of the world to know that inequality isn't this good thing. It's not something people are walking around glorifying. So to kind of depict yourself as the teacher in the beginning of this music video, to say that you're actually about to spit some knowledge or some facts, you didn't do that. The scene where multiple people are hung up, I understand the power, you know, the frustration that you are displaying on behalf of the people that have been in these situations. Again, the lyrical content does not match the imagery here. It's just not on the same level in the slightest. This entire video, X is pretty much speaking on this is the scenario that we'd be in if people continued this line of thinking. He doesn't want people to hold on to that same resentment. He doesn't want people to hold on to that same pain and hurt because it's going to affect the next generation. I get all that. That's cool and fine, but don't act like the inequality against those same minorities isn't still happening today. You're speaking way too preemptively. I don't remember in any case for a very long time a kid of Caucasian descent being in this position before. You're forcing this image in your music video to create an idea that supports your ideology. This is a very low risk of happening. I don't know how many stories of a situation like this happening you can actually find. So we get to the end of the video. And this is the part that I feel is the most unfortunately disingenuous part of the entire thing. X is giving you a speech or some kind of poem or some kind of ideology, again, that I'm assuming he most likely wrote, he put in his notes, and he's reading it from his phone. I'm not saying that this is not an important subject to him, and I'm not saying he doesn't have something that he wants to discuss about it. I'm saying the way it comes across in this video is like you're willing to put a kid in a rope but not willing to memorize your own speech. I'm not saying they're the same in the slightest, but what X did in this music video at the end is almost like what Donald Trump did with immigrants. Looking up and down at his script while he's talking about how much he cares and how deeply he is connected to the cause. Like, what are you doing? And I think the biggest issue I had with this speech is the fact that X is actually trying to reason with supremacy, and I don't think he means to do it. He basically says at one point in this speech that since the supremacists feel so superior, you shouldn't be thrown off. You shouldn't be moved or uncomfortable. Rather than put the emphasis on switching up or destroying this ideology, you'd rather say, okay, keep the ideology, dog, but since you feel so superior and you're up on your high horse, why not give a little bit of help to the little guy, i.e., us. If you were truly superior, you wouldn't feel so threatened. This is where I understand the concept or this conspiracy that X is trying to come across as fake woke, because you are trying to speak from, you're trying to rationalize in some form supremacy. And you're not doing it intentionally. I know this is gonna get misconstrued, but I'm going by what's in the music video. You're taking the subject of supremacy and saying, if you're gonna be a supremacist, you should at least do it right. If you're gonna feel superior, at least be superior. Don't be so insecure whenever we come around. Show support, help out instead of putting the focus on, no, your ideas, your thought process, your way of thinking should not exist in this world, and I'm going to do everything I can to fight against it for your children, so they don't have to carry your same motives or your same thought process or your heart. The issue with X's fans on this music video is essentially saying that because this is what he was going for, even if he didn't hit the mark or nail the topic, we're not gonna hold him responsible or accountable for the subject he's talking about that affects millions of people daily, because we like him. Instead, they're gonna throw other people into the mix and say, oh man, if Kendrick or if J. Cole or if Tupac or Biggie had rapped about this, everybody would be in shock and awe. Never have I seen Kendrick, Cole, Pac, or Biggie speak about this kind of situation with such surface level detail. I got on Logic months ago for talking about the whole black and white thing and not speaking on the subject well enough to carry on an entire album. When you take on a specific issue or a subject, you need to have information about it, enough information to spark a dialogue that hasn't already been discussed. It's almost as if the fans are treating themselves so poorly and with so little respect that they're willing to accept any message from any artist simply because it's obvious. I don't need any rapper or any person in life to tell me that this thing right here is not okay. If you need someone to tell you that these things are wrong, then you have issues. I know this entire video is gonna come across like a bash. I'm already prepared for the massive amount of people that are saying, you know, oh, you just don't get the message, you're just not connected to it. As someone who comes from a multicultural background, I know better than most about inequality, and I don't need to see a kid hung up to know it's bad. Listen, like I said, X is a person I am not coming at. I have nothing but, you know, love in my heart for the individual, X himself, because again, despite all this, I still want to see him prosper. I want to see all artists who have an idea that they want displayed to the masses. I want to see them all prosper. That does not mean that I'm going to be in agreement with everything that they come out with. That's just impossible. And if you are, you need to separate yourself from the artist in their music. You need to disconnect the two. I mean, parts of this video border did the guy who invented college go to college levels of just cringe. Again, I give X the benefit of the doubt because he's 19 and Hospen is in his 30s, but it's the most obvious message ever. This entire video was essentially, let me teach you the lesson about why this thing is bad and why certain people hold resentment towards it. And this is the outcome of that, as if it wasn't already obvious on its own. I mean, we've got middle schoolers writing essays about why this is bad. Middle schoolers. I'm sure he can come up with a better concept eventually. This is not the best of him, I believe. But his fans, some of y'all gotta grow up, man. I mean, I gotta refer to this one tweet I found that literally explains X's fans' reaction to a lot of this music video. Shout out to this guy, because I never would have came up with this analogy. That's really all I have to talk about. Video-wise, I appreciate the message, but it doesn't go over well. There's not really much consideration put into the topic. It's just kind of done and that's it. Leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. I don't know what else to tell you to do. It's been Shawn C. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you didn't, feel free to explain your anger in the comment section below. And yeah, that's about it. That's all I got. Not a bad concept, not done to the best of its ability. That's just how I feel about it. Keep prospering though. Keep prospering, because you do have a future. I still believe that. Shawn C, I'm out. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.